and welcome to the FOX54 Week in Review. If you've never seen us before, here's what we do. We take all our local headlines from the past 7 days and put them all in one place just for you. Here's what's coming your way this weekend. Threats of increasing tariffs between the United States and the European Union could have real impacts here at home, and especially for North Alabama's own wine and spirit sales industry, the impacts could be quite sobering. We'll explain. After a gun accidentally discharged inside a student's backpack last month, Hanceville City Schools has accelerated its plans to roll out weapon detection systems across its campuses. You'll learn more about the systems and the district's hope for violence-free campuses. And here's one way to really elevate your game. These gymnasts are front and center on a global stage, and it all took place right here at our very own BBC. Learn about the competition and its players all in the minutes to come. Our top story is a follow-up to the drama unfolding at another North Alabama Police Department, this time in Hanceville, where several police officers and the wife of another were recently arrested on charges of corruption, stealing items from evidence lockers. This week, the City Council voted to take the unprecedented step of dissolving the police department and starting it over again from scratch. Here is our reporting on that story.
Mr. Singh, that is not what we're here for, okay? What is your opinion about the police department?
My opinion is it needs to completely be abolished. Okay. You are sitting here telling every citizen in this community that is here tonight that they cannot speak. I have not had my 3 minutes.
Some very tense moments you just heard there. Hanceville City Council, though, have officially voted to suspend the city's police department. It's where we start tonight. I'm Kenesha Dees. It was during a special called meeting. It'll be a new era for the city's police department, and we'll begin the search for a new police chief. This comes after the shocking announcement last month that 5 police officers, including the chief and a spouse, were indicted on corruption charges. Earlier today, Coleman County District Attorney Champ Crocker released preliminary results into an audit of the department, revealing numerous missing items like drugs and firearms that were missing from the department's evidence room. The City Council meeting was held at Hanceville's Civic Center, a larger venue compared to their City Council chambers to accommodate a larger audience.
All in attendance, eager to know what does the future hold for Hanceville PD. Tonight's talks kicked off with a public comments period, which was cut short by Mayor Jimmy Sawyer after those moments which you just heard a few minutes ago. But there were people who had their voices and opinions heard before that. Here's what they had to say. Take a look.
It's my understanding that we need a police force. We've had one. I'm 67 years old. We've always had a police force. I think we need to rebuild this police force from the ground up. What used to work don't work no more.
I think we need to re-elect all of you guys, and not re-elect you guys, but get new people up there that will do the oversight of the police department like it should have been done.
I would like to request the council table the decision on whether or not to have a police department. The best thing to do would be to allow the citizens to decide the issue by putting it on the next election's ballot and work to provide as much information to the citizens as possible so they can make an informed decision.
This council did not table the discussion any further. Instead, they made it official to suspend the police department and begin the search for a new leader of its law enforcement. This includes getting together a group of 5 people to help lead the search for the new police chief. We spoke to Hanceville City Council member Kenneth Cornelius, who made the motion leading to the vote, and Coleman County Sheriff Matt Gentry post-adjournment about how his department will be helping the city.
The reason I made my motion was to establish a new department, completely start over, and that starts with leadership. I do want to start fresh with that department. Not that anybody's did anything that's there now, but we want to start with a fresh slate and with that new leadership be able to let he or she hire who they would like.
I think it was a good decision. I can feel the tempo of the community. They want their own law enforcement as far as the police department here. And so for me, the tempo is, that's what they want. How can I help them as the sheriff achieve that goal? So it was the right goal to look at hiring a new chief with a committee and then start the rehiring process and build their own law enforcement agency from the ground up.
The reason I made my motion was to establish a new department, completely start over, and that starts with leadership. Now, who that is, we don't know yet, and then to create a committee to look at someone to come in as chief and to start fresh and rehire all individuals that's at the police department.
The move to reestablish the department comes after months of debate over whether the town should continue relying on the Coleman County Sheriff's Office for law enforcement or create a fresh start with a new local force. Sheriff Matt Gentry has overseen law enforcement efforts in Hanceville during the transition period and says his office will assist in the process.
The citizens are going to be protected, they're going to be taken care of, and that I would work hand in hand with the mayor and the council to whatever their decision was to make sure that they have great law enforcement in the city of Hanceville. It's a great community. I think it was a good decision. I can feel the tempo of the community. They want their own law enforcement as far as the police department here. And so for me, the tempo is, that's what they want. How can I help them as the sheriff?
One step forward would be to hire a new police chief. Councilman Kenneth Cornelia says the chief would be in charge of helping to hire the new staff for the fresh start.
Someone of integrity, someone of vast experience, someone that can come in and give us the ability to oversee what we had and do any changes we need to do to actually come in and do what's best for Hanceville and for the citizens and get that protection for our citizens, and someone that come in that has that expertise.
The search process could take some time. However, Sheriff Gentry states that if the process takes longer than 3 months, additional help may be needed.
We already work a lot of overtime, but for us, theoretically, about 3 months, I think they could maintain the level of what we were providing without hiring additional deputies.
Cornelia says applications for the new chief have already been flooding in since the position opened. We'll continue to keep you updated as the search for the new chief continues. Here in Hanceville, Ken McCoy, Fox 54 News.
City Council considering how to proceed with or without a city-ran police department. Council members met tonight, and although no items were on the agenda about that police department, Mayor Jim Sawyer did give one update to the police chief vacancy at the end of the meeting.
As far as the police chief's application, we'll have that published tomorrow for applicants to apply, and it'll be posted on our Facebook page and probably the website here in City Hall. It'll be posted for 7 days. We also have a police search committee that's been formed. As soon as that application deadline closes, then they will begin the process of going through the applications.
The next Hanceville City Council meeting is scheduled for Thursday, March 27th, with a work session beginning at 5 p.m. The transition from Todd Pinion to Natus Carlisle Jr. as Decatur's chief of police has not been totally smooth. There's dissent from residents about Tab Bowling's process and an overall distrust in the city government leaders. Fox 54 recently learned more about Carlisle's background, including his firing from his most recent position. Our Simon Williams has more.
New interim Decatur Police Chief Natus Carlisle Jr. is back with the department he worked in from 1990 to 2016, the last year of which he spent as interim chief until his own retirement. His next gig was with Alabama A&M as chief of their campus police.
We turned that department around. We changed the culture of that department. The officers looked like officers, they acted like officers, and they understood of what we expected from police officers.
Carlisle didn't shy away from talking about the end of his tenure on the Hill.
I've kept that no secret. I was fired. A brand new person who had no experience whatsoever to be a vice president. She was prohibiting me from doing things on campus that needed to be done to keep the safety and security of our university. And I reported that to the president, and she didn't like it, and I got fired. It's that simple.
Fox 54 has obtained records that provide more context to Carlisle's termination. Brittany Holloman, then A&M's interim associate vice president, notified Carlisle of her recommendation to terminate him without cause. That recommendation was one of several filed regarding Carlisle's firing, but none of which explicitly or implicitly gave the reason for the transaction. Carlisle addressed any concerns about his reputation.
I've heard the rumors too, saying that I was sleeping with the female students. I'm too smart for that. I'm too savvy. I've been around too long for that. Would never do it anyway, but it's just ridiculous.
Carlisle didn't specify if Holloman was the woman he was at odds with, and Holloman, who stopped working at A&M in July of 2022, says she has no comment on the matter. This all comes as Decatur residents question the motives of Mayor Tab Bowling for appointing Carlisle.
I was asked by several reporters about him being fired from his previous employer. Right now, while he is employed by the city as interim chief, if Tab didn't do his due diligence and get that information, because again, he is running the city, right?
That's what the mayor did. He knew what he was doing when he brought Natus on, and that's that's wrong. That good old boy system has to end, and Tab is standing on that good old boy system.
He's given the chief pay. What kind of, so we paying double chief pays? Right. I mean, do that make any sense to y'all?
In Huntsville, Simon Williams, Fox 54 News.
Carlisle's term as interim police chief is until the city council hires a full-time person to that role. Carlisle said at this point he is not sure if he wants to be in the job full-time, nor does he have any assurances that he is going to be given the position, rather. The job for police chief is posted on the city's job portal and closes on March 18th.
The Decatur Police Department had a physical agility test this morning for its latest round of applicants to the force. They started with a writing test this morning around 8 a.m., and then the hard part began shortly after at the shooting range. They pushed cars, climbed walls, dragged life-size dummies, and then started the mile-and-a-half run. Interim Police Natives Carlisle Jr. tells us they're going to try to weed out the pool of applicants.
We want to get the smartest, the best. We want courageous people, honest people, high moral standards. These are the ones that we want. And we try to get them to understand that we're not a warrior mentality anymore. We're a guardian mentality. We want people that want to help folks.
The department is still looking for applicants. Carlisle says police recruitment across the country is at its lowest point in 5 years. If you feel the call to serve and protect, you can file an application on the department's website.
Public K-12 schools and universities in Alabama and across the country are preparing for the potential closure of the Department of Education. This brings concerns for funding in many areas. Our Gabe Glassman has more on how local schools could be impacted.
President Trump's actions to cut the Department of Education were paused on Thursday to further review the DOE. But what impacts could the removal of this department have on Alabama students?
I think in the short run, it's really just going to be disruption of current operations. Nobody will know how it's working and those kind of things. I think in the long run, a lot of the activities that department does will be just redistributed to other parts of the federal government.
Alabama Higher Education Commission Executive Director Jim Purcell says the cause for concern extends beyond the potential closure.
We do know that just something as simple that's happening with NIH, where they're going to have their pass-through funds for indirect costs, currently is around 30%, and they want to drop that down to 15%. And that'll just impact our institutions by $41 million.
These numbers tell a bigger story for a few major universities in the Yellowhammer State. University of Alabama in Huntsville received more than $400,000 from the National Institute of Health for the 2025 fiscal year. The University of South Alabama received more than $1 million, and the University of Alabama in Birmingham, topping everyone in the state. They've seen nearly $47 million come from NIH through more than 100 different awards. Purcell is asking colleges to prepare for rain.
What I've asked the campuses to do is to really start to think about how they can change their business model to make sure that they're not caught in a lurch with over-promising and not having revenue to support their commitments. The federal government's doing a lot of things very quickly, but in a helter-skelter manner. And that disruption is just difficult, not only for businesses who are dealing with this, but for state government and universities.
Ultimately, Purcell believes if schools can find grants from other agencies, they'll be able to keep steady operations. In Huntsville, Gabe Glassman, Fox 54 News.
In a statement to Fox 54, Alabama State Superintendent Dr. Eric Mackey said, quote, "Our schools depend on these funds, and as long as the funds continue to be made available for our schools, less federal regulation and burdensome paperwork would be welcomed. The most concerning scenario would be one in which the regulations remain in place with reduced funding. So far, we have no indication that might be the case. Nevertheless, we are closely monitoring developments," end quote. The final chapter for historic Hanceville business is coming to an end. Items from CT Garvin Feed and Seed are up for auction as business winds down. Fox 54 spoke with Van Massey, who's coordinating that auction, about what it means to be a part of the store's final sale. A forklift, candy dispensers, and seeds are just a few of the items up for auction from CT Garvin. At a preview Friday, former customers took their time to wander through and say goodbye to the store. Among them, Scott Branham.
We came into town just to see this today because I knew it was going out of business, and it's It's just that I would rather buy from a local place like this and pay more than you would at Home Depot or Lowe's, because it is a hometown place, and I call it a mom and pop store.
For Van Massey, whose auction service is liquidating the store, it's an honor to be part of the farewell.
It comes that time after 90 plus years that the time has come to liquidate the business, and we're just honored to be a part of this. It's so historic. It means so much to Hanceville and even Madison County and surrounding. You know, the name C.T. Garvin is widely known and respected for a lot of years, and we're just honored to be here and to help liquidate the business as this time has come.
Branham, however, views it as another loss of a local business.
I just try to go there to the local place that, they just had people working there. Their father might have worked there, their grandfather might have worked there, and it's just a really homey thing versus you go to a big national chain and it's just whoever's working there.
If you want to own a piece of the former store, there's still time to take part in the online auction.
Every item or group of items here will be grouped up and have an assigned lot number, and you can bid accordingly on that lot. Each lot will come off one at a time, beginning at 7 p.m. on Tuesday night.
A link to the auction can be found at FOX54.com. Certainly an end to an era. The C.T. Garvin location in Elkmont will not be closing its doors and will remain operating as normal. Huntsville City Schools is taking another step forward in ensuring the safety of students and staff. The district has announced the installation of advanced weapon detection systems across all of its elementary schools. Now, the rollout means that all schools within the district now have a weapons detection system in place. The district says it had original plans to implement the systems in the fall, but due to recent events and push from parents, they decided to implement it early and spent around $500,000 to do so. Our Kim McCoy has more on what students should expect.
For the last few years, middle and high schools in the Huntsville City school system have used weapon detection systems as an added layer of security. Now, that same technology is making its way to elementary campuses.
We want parents to have peace of mind when they send their kid to school, knowing that their child is going to be safe.
The system is called OpenGate, a touchless weapon detection scanner designed to quickly identify potential threats while allowing students to enter without slowing down the morning routine.
They work a lot like our Evolve system, the key being if a student has a weapon, whether it's concealed in their backpack or concealed whether it's in their jacket or something like that, the system's designed to provide our staff members with a trigger, knowing that this student warrants a check and ultimately helps us discover any weapons being brought onto campus.
Craig Williams with ACS says the move is proactive, not reactive.
So obviously we're all aware of what happened at Challenger roughly a month ago today, where we did have a firearm discharged within the building. And of course, that's unacceptable. That can't be happening. While the initial plan was to roll out weapon detection systems at our elementary schools starting for the beginning of the next school year, our timeline did get expedited to where we're going to go ahead and start the process of rolling those out now.
Williams says they're doing everything they can to make the transition smooth, with staff ready to help students settle in and feel at ease. But he also encourages parents to practice with their children.
Any type of adjustment, especially for younger students, it is an adjustment. It is something new. It is something that they're going to have to get used to. So we encourage parents, and this is something we're going to be working with in the schools as well, just to, it sounds silly, but practice with your student. Go online, type in the weapon detection video, type in OpenGate, kind of get an idea of how these systems work.
ACS says they will continue to monitor and evaluate the effectiveness of the program to ensure it meets the needs of students and staff. In Huntsville, Kim McCoy, Fox 54 News.
A mistrial declared in Keith Sullivan's Stand Your Ground case in DeKalb County after jurors became helplessly deadlocked. Fox 54's Caleb Aguayo was at the courthouse in Fort Payne to find out just why they didn't close the case today. And Caleb, what's the latest?
A mistrial was declared around noon today here in the DeKalb County Stand Your Ground trial. A jury told the judge here at the county courthouse that they were hopelessly deadlocked. And the district attorney says they're going to retry Sullivan later this year.
I guess it's a small victory. We had hoped for a total acquittal, but a mistrial is better than a wrongful conviction. So we're happy as we can be.
That's the reaction from the friends and family of Keith Sullivan, who say getting him back today is better than watching him go to prison. Roger King, who was a student of Sullivan, believes the defendant from Grove Oak took reasonable actions 2 years ago, acting in self-defense.
He did not empty the magazine as he could have done. He stopped firing when Mr. Bagwell stopped moving. He told him, "Don't get up." The man tried to get up and he stopped it, because if he got up, he was afraid that he was going to be killed.
Jurors, however, couldn't come to agreement, failing to reach a unanimous verdict. The mistrial declaration followed the court's dismissal earlier in the day of defense claims of a conflict of interest involving the jury foreman. Circuit Judge Jonathan Bell decided to adjourn this afternoon when it became clear that jurors were at an impasse, Sullivan's defense team standing by their position.
It was not unreasonable for Keith Sullivan to view Greg Bagwell as a threat in that moment. It would have been unreasonable for him not to have.
What you're finding out is when you're faced with that extreme circumstances in this state, in this county, when you react reasonably, you're going to get prosecuted. And that is remarkably unfair, and it is sad.
The case will be retried in October. Judge Bell set it for October 27th, but that's due to change if anyone has conflicts in their schedule. In Fort Payne, I'm Caleb Aguayo, Fox 54 News.
Until the case is retried later in the year, Sullivan is out of jail and spending these months with his family and friends. He said to Fox 54, quote, "I was just trying to defend my family." The city of Tuscumbia declared a state of emergency Friday, weeks after an EF1 tornado tore through the city. It brought down trees, ripped up stop signs, and knocked the electricity out for days. According to city officials, the state of emergency will help the city to replace traffic poles torn down in the storm. It's a hazard because the city's temporary stop signs don't work as well as the lights did, causing several car wrecks and near accidents. Fox 54's Caleb Aguayo takes us out to the shoals to show us the current situation.
A state of emergency in Tuscumbia, all because of a public safety hazard that the city is working to fix. It was declared in order to bypass the normal process of getting city funding for public repairs. It's all to get funding for the down traffic lights across town. In the meantime, they have temporary stop signs set up, but Mayor William Foster says there are close calls at these intersections every day. In fact, he says it's so bad that the police department has officers sitting at the lights to make sure people are getting around safely.
The adjuster was there. We almost had 2 cars. They're just running the stop signs. I've got police officers everywhere trying to maintain traffic. And he decided then this is a public safety hazard, and we totally agree. And for the adjuster to basically fast track our funds to get it fixed, we had to put this state of emergency for the city because it is for public safety.
As for the funding they need, each intersection costs $50,000 to $60,000 to install 8 new lights. In total, the city was quoted $210,000 to repair the damaged traffic lights. Shoals Electric Company will be making the repairs, and the city is ordering the parts this week. Public Works Director Joel Kendrick says they'll have temporary traffic lights until the permanent ones are up.
The poles will be ordered, I think, it's 6 weeks, and once they come in, they will set those poles and then transfer from the temporary poles onto those big metal poles.
But he says until it gets resolved, it's a hazard for everyone traveling downtown.
It's pretty hectic because all three actually intersections interfere with school traffic. So especially in the mornings and afternoons during school traffic, it gets kind of hectic with the lights not working properly.
In the meantime, Mayor Foster says to be extra careful of the stop signs, people blowing through intersections, and pedestrians crossing the road. In Tuscumbia, I'm Caleb Aguayo, Fox 54 News.
State of emergency in Tuscumbia, all because of a public safety hazard that the city is working to fix. It was declared in order to bypass the normal process of getting city funding for public repairs. A glass of wine from France or Italy could cost you more than usual if the tariff war between the U.S. and Europe persists. A 200% tariff has been proposed by President Trump on EU-produced wine and other alcoholic beverages. This comes after a proposed 50% tariff on American whiskey by the EU. And for one local wine brand, they say the tariff's impact will be noticeable to customers.
It will be put onto the distributors, the salespeople, and of course your local wine shop. So 200% is very significant. That $15 bottle of wine that you used to love from your local wine shop will now be $45. That glass of wine that you enjoyed for $10, that's probably pretty cheap nowadays, at a restaurant will go up to $31 a glass.
Kristen Bernard, owner of Hanceville-based Côte des Femmes Wine, imports wine from France, and she makes it clear that tariffs will impact impact the entire wine industry. But for wine shop owner Brandy Edmonds, tariffs will put her even more behind the big name stores.
In order to make up that difference, those prices will have to go up, and it will directly affect the reasons why people come to a specialty bottle shop.
For local winery La Famiglia, who will begin selling their own wine later this year, the tariffs come at the perfect time as they prepare to open their doors. But for owner Tom Fitzgerald, it feels like a win at the expense of others.
I mean, we have a lot of friends and relatives in Italy that love Jack Daniels, and I don't want to see those industries hurt.
And if local wineries want to capitalize on this opportunity by selling their goods at other wine shops, you might think this will lead to more sales. But Bernard says history would say otherwise.
From our experience before, when there was only a 25% tariff, that was not what happened. The opposite happened. The U.S. wine market was directly affected and a lot of jobs were lost.
Even if the tariffs don't go through, Edmonds says some shops are already feeling a downward turn in other ways.
Tariffs or no tariffs, the wine industry has already been affected by increases in glass, other different costs that have gone up. So if you want to have that experience of shopping at a specialty shop that offers that education, then it's more important now than ever to get out of your big box store and come by and support your local shop.
Bernard says she expects her wine prices to triple their current price if the tariffs go into effect. And earlier this afternoon, Trump said he has no plans to back down from any current or future tariffs. It's all about drama.
I love it.
In Macy Latner's class.
It's all I've done my whole life.
The stars have aligned for much of Latner's life.
I auditioned for a play when I was 5 years old, and it is all I've ever done since.
Her love of the performing arts now taught to a future generation of actors.
This is my 4th year, and I would say so far it feels like my best year, which is awesome. It's been the most fun I've had, I think, in the 4 years.
Latner says she splits her time, teaching some days at Benjamin Davis Elementary and others at Leon Sheffield Magnet.
But it very much feels like one, because we have a lot of siblings that are at each and that sort of thing.
On this day, she was at Leon Sheffield.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti.
Teaching students like her niece, Hallie Latner.
I like that we get to sometimes perform and read from scripts and stuff.
Hallie recently starred in the school's play, Shrek the Musical, playing as
a do-log worker.
Hallie is one of the 500 to 600 students Latner says she teaches. Many of them star students in the Shrek play.
We had some knockout stars this year, and everybody got to see them, and it was so rewarding because some of them have never had a line in a play in their life.
Latner says there's many skills to gain for kids performing on stage.
We have to put on a show a lot in our lives in situations that you can't really imagine having to at work, in job interviews, speaking skills.
Latner says it's the confidence they gain that shines the brightest.
I have students that at the beginning of the year will say a few words to me, and I'm nervous to even give them a script, and by the end of the year, they're jumping up with confidence.
The one St. Patrick's Day event in the Rocket City has already been impacted by this weekend's severe weather threat. The annual St. Patrick's Day parade planned for Saturday in downtown Hanceville has officially been canceled. Gabe Glassman sat down with the event organizers about the decision and how they're still hoping to keep traditions alive even without the big celebration.
For safety purposes for our attendees, we need to cancel this year's St. Patrick's Day parade.
You heard it right. The 2025 St. Patrick's Day parade in downtown Hanceville will not go on as planned. Irish Society of North Alabama President John Sample says they're keeping everyone's safety in mind, even with a rain or shine policy in place.
We have to take the community into account whenever we're putting on events like this, even when just a few days ahead of the parade, things suddenly shift.
For it continuing for 48 years without a hiccup or anything like that is a really cool thing to see, but we are a little bit bummed that it is not going to be taking place.
This year marks the first time in the parade's near 50-year history it's canceled due to weather. Sample says these traditions date all the way back with local roots.
It's been going since 1978. But when Ellen McAnally, the founder, first started the parade, besides it being a celebration of St. Patty's Day, it was also to be a celebration of community, and that's always been the theme of the parade every single year.
And the St. Patty's Day tradition reached throughout the Rocket City. Straight to Ale is the main sponsor for the parade, but they still have plans to celebrate the holiday in style.
As for right now, they're planning on getting started here in the morning with kegs and eggs, and just have festivities the whole day.
We just really enjoy having a lot of fun, like live music, Southern Irish dancers, the Hanceville bagpiper comes out, so have a lot of really fun activities planned.
Straight to Ale are still planning to host their St. Patrick's celebrations on Saturday, but all of their events are weather permitting. From Huntsville, Gabe Glassman, Fox 54 News.
Event organizers say St. Patrick's Day 2026 is already scheduled to be brought back to the streets of downtown Huntsville. And he will have more on the parade's impact and history across Huntsville tonight at 9. As we brace for a round of weekend storms, staying prepared could be the difference between life and death. One of the most recognizable warnings we have is the tornado siren, but how exactly do they work? And what other steps should you take to be storm ready? Our Ken McCoy has more on why a plan is necessary.
As severe weather approaches the area this weekend, local officials are gearing up with essential weather preparations. That includes the use of tornado sirens. These sirens are essential in helping people find shelter quickly, but experts say it's not the only way to stay prepared. It's a sound you never want to hear, but it could save your life. Madison County Emergency Management Director Jeff Birdwell says tornado sirens are designed to alert people who are outdoors.
They're really only meant to be heard outside. We get questions a lot of times, well, I didn't hear the siren. Well, were you inside your house? Well, that may be the problem.
Birdwell says there are plenty of sirens all over the county, and there's a special system in place to trigger an alert when needed.
We have a system that is based off the polygon that the National Weather Service issued. In other words, when they issue that polygon, we actually receive it here in our Emergency Operations Center, and only the sirens that are located in that polygon are activated.
Sirens are just one layer of a much bigger storm preparedness plan. That's why the Madison County EMA recommends multiple ways to receive alerts.
While it is what I would call a tool in the toolbox, it's not one that you rely on solely. We recommend having multiple avenues of receiving weather information. There's all kinds of apps. There's NOAA weather radio. Of course, there's news media as well.
As storms are expected to reach the area in the next few days, now is the time to make a plan.
Now's the time to get your plan together, what you're going to do. If you are going to go to a shelter, go ahead and make a phone call or get information on when they open up. Some are pet friendly, some are not. So already get that information and have that there with you. Also, don't wait till a tornado warning is issued to seek shelter. It's too late at that point.
A list of shelters can be found on our website at fox54.com. In Madison County, Kim McCoy, Fox 54 News. 7 people arrested in Lauderdale County is the end result of a months-long sting operation after the district attorney's office was flooded with calls from parents and others about kids using, abusing, and overdosing on what was thought to be THC vapes. A sting operation revealed that 6 total shops were selling THC vapes to children. A lab report from the Alabama Department of Forensic Sciences later showed that the vapes were actually controlled substances. During the search of businesses, agents found more vapes containing controlled substances, meth, pipes used for smoking meth, and a green leafy substance believed to be called khat, as well as a large amount of prescription Viagra. All 7 involved have been arrested and charged. They are facing charges of selling or distributing psychoactive cannabinoids to minors and unlawful distribution of a controlled substance. Authorities say the 6 shops involved were Hancock's One Stop Buckeye Smoke Shop, the Florence Valero on Cloverdale Road, Florence King Vape, the Chevron in Petersville, and the Florence Smoke Shop.
Big upgrades for animal health care over in Decatur, a possible new research center. The Newman Regional Referral Hospital will be transforming over the next several months into a nonprofit research center, all to study natural diseases like cancers, diabetes, ALS, and rheumatoid arthritis in pets. Its founder meeting with state representatives and one state senator to figure out how to move the idea forward. Fox 54's Caleb Aguayo takes us out to Decatur to show us how it might operate once it's open.
The Newman Regional Referral Hospital is going to be transforming into a nonprofit research hospital for pets. The transformation is going to take place over the next several months, and they'll be building on the land right next to the existing office space with the help of state representatives and other hospitals here in Alabama. Founder Dr. Michael Newman describes it as like St. Jude, but for animals. He says it's the first of its kind. Because it's a nonprofit, Dr. Newman says he's hoping it will be publicly funded, with regular fundraisers too.
We'll be raising money, asking the public to pay for it. So if a person brings their patient in, they don't have to pay for it. If it's accepted to be studied, look at, they can do it here, and they don't have to pay for it, just like at St. Jude's, they're kids.
The initial cost is roughly $4 million for staffing, $10 million for the facility and equipment, and another $10 million for operation every year. In total, Dr. Newman expects it to be about $25 to $50 million in the first year, but it could be as much as $100 million for the complete development.
And we're talking about maybe we may get up to $1 billion in a few years. That's what it takes. And as I hate to say that, I wish it weren't that expensive, but that's the way it is. That's what we need to do.
And the tech they'll need: MRI, radiographic equipment, ultrasound, radiation therapy, physical therapy, and surgical units. They'll hire veterinarians, nurses, pathologists, and imaging technicians, all for the sake of studying and treating natural diseases in animals. Their goal: to use these pets to learn more about treating the same diseases in people.
We're here to treat them and to have them help us. The owners of those animals have us help us do the research and what we need to do. That's very important. And then that way we can learn whether what we're doing is working appropriately or not. And if we know that, what we learn from that can be applied to us.
Their treatments could help the research for over 100 diseases that affect both animals and people. In Decatur, I'm Caleb Aguayo, FOX54 News.
And again, Dr. Newman is working with state legislators and UAB to open up the hospital and staff it. But State Representatives and Senator Arthur Orr, overseeing Morgan County, declined our request for comment because the project is in its earliest stages. An Athens business owner speaking up about an incident of racism after her storefront was vandalized with a racial slur. We have it blurred out, but Crystal Johnson, owner of Free Living Co., says a woman who works with her found the N-word etched into the store's window while cleaning off paint yesterday. Johnson says she moved her business to Athens, her hometown, from Hanceville 6 months ago. And she says the process for even getting a license was tough, saying it's overall tough for Black business owners in Athens, and mentions the growth of the area.
We're stuck. If we want to have the potential of the Huntsvilles, the Birminghams, the Atlantas, the Houstons, and all of these places, we've got to start having some tough conversations and holding each other accountable and becoming the solution instead of sweeping it under the rug, as so many people have done for so many years. I want to see us work together.
Johnson says the incident is under investigation, and she'll be meeting with Mayor Ronnie Martz, the chief of police, and the Chamber of Commerce president Thursday morning at City Hall. The Alabama Court of Civil Appeals has lifted the temporary restraining order that was blocking the rollout of cannabis business licenses. Since 2021, the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission has tried 3 times to issue licenses to companies that wish to cultivate cannabis, but lawsuits and challenges to the commission's procedures have stalled the process. In today's ruling, the court found the restraining order was void because the circuit court lacked jurisdiction to issue it in the first place. The director of the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission hopes this decision will remove the obstacles that have prevented license distribution. We spoke with one of the attorneys representing Alabama Always to find out what the next step is in this process.
So the next step is going to look like it's going to look like a trial, but there are going to be probably 17 different parties in the trial, and their job is going to be to prove each of themselves is suitable and qualified to be one of the top 5 applicants to get a medical cannabis license, and also to prove that the other guys aren't qualified.
It's still not clear exactly how long it could take for the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission to advance cannabis business licenses to approved distributors.
Swinging, balancing, and flying through the air. That's the newest from the Von Braun Center, where they've been holding a nearly week-long gymnastics meet for students of all age groups. It's called Elevate the Stage, and it earned its name about 10 years ago because the platforms are lifted off the ground for everyone to see. You might be able to hear it going on behind me, but Elevate the Stage is in town for its 5th year in a row. It's an NCAA gymnastics meet designed as a final chance to show off the competition ahead of the national championships. This year it'll be the universities of Alabama, North Carolina, Michigan State, and Cal. And one of the event partners, the Hanceville Sports Commission, says this will be a huge economic boost for the city.
The last several days we've had over 1,000 youth gymnasts in town, so they've been eating in our restaurants, staying in our hotels, and this is just the culmination of a great week.
In fact, Russell says it doesn't just bring revenue from restaurants and hotels. The main focus is getting people in Huntsville excited about the city's sports scene.
First of all, we want people in our hotels and eating restaurants, so we're doing that. We want to increase the quality of our life. We want our citizens to be excited about these events. These are world-class gymnasts, there's Olympians, there's all kinds of people here today, and we want people to come out and enjoy that.
And they're broadcasting this event across the country to get people excited about Huntsville. With that national focus, Knight Eady Vice President Preston Kirk says they picked the Rocket City because it's a large, neutral place with plenty of opportunity.
We see the Von Braun Center as a great location. Central, it's where all these teams are coming from. It's easy to get to. The renovation that they've done here over the years provides a great venue, great opportunity for these young student athletes to be able to get in here, compete, have a great time, a great experience. We have great crowds that come out to watch both the small kids, but then also the college teams as they prepare for their postseason run.
Elevate the Stage finished today with the collegiate competition, but those championships will take place mid-April at the Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, Texas. In Huntsville, I'm Caleb Aguayo, Fox 54 News.
We do have a new development in the Mac Marquette case today. His legal team calling for the removal of the judge, the former Decatur police officer on trial for the shooting death of Steve Perkins outside Perkins' home back in 2023. Court records show Marquette's legal team has filed a stay with the Alabama Court of Criminal Appeals, asking Judge Charles Elliott to recuse himself for violating judicial ethics. The filing lists 3 reasons the judge should recuse himself. The first is that he has predetermined, without holding a hearing, that he will deny Marquette's immunity request. It also says the judge told a Decatur police lieutenant of his intentions and concerns that granting immunity would have political implications for future elections. And the state claims that Judge Elliott violated judicial ethics by carrying out a series of allegedly improper conversations about the motion for recusal. One of those conversations is said to be with one of Marquette's defense attorneys. His team now arguing all criminal proceedings should be put on hold until a ruling is made on the judge's recusal. The deadline for Alabama residents to get their Star ID is quickly approaching. This is part of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security's Real ID Act. May 7th, citizens who do not have a Star ID will not be able to board domestic flights with their driver's license. Our Dave Glassman tells us more.
These new IDs have different looks, but the same rules still apply for every American, from New York to California. In Alabama, however, changing the way your license looks is optional if you want to hop on a plane domestically. The TSA still approves other forms of identification, like a passport, and you still need your passport if you're planning on leaving the country by land, air, or water, per the Department of Homeland Security. But domestic flights aren't the only use for Star IDs. This form of identification will be standard for some federal facilities and military bases. While the clock is winding down, there's still time for you to make the switch. May 7th is the Star ID deadline. In Madison County, new licenses will be mailed to you within 30 days.
And when you register for Star ID, you'll receive a temporary receipt that's valid for a 30-day period.
North Alabama's March Magic ends in the Music City with a 76-65 loss in the ASUN tournament final. Facing the preseason pick to win the league, the coach of the year, and the player of the year, it was going to be a fight. This one turned into more of a war. The teams traded blows. Neither team had a scoring run of more than 8 points until the final 3 minutes of the game when Lipscomb pulled away slightly. Neither team led by more than 4. UNA missed a bunch of looks from within 5 feet, and although they grabbed 18 offensive rebounds, the misses added up, especially when Lippy was excellent from 3 and free. 36 of their points came from beyond the arc at a 44% clip, and 26 points came from the line. All in all, it was a fitting end to the ASUN slate.
You saw 2 teams out there that were definitely wanting to win a championship. I'm very proud of my guys in the way that they competed. We got in a hole early, and they fought their way back. I just love my guys, man. That's it. For me, it's all about pouring into them. For me, I'm serving them. That's all I do, is I serve.
That was a high-level basketball game, and we beat a really, really good team. If anybody's here from Huntsville, you make sure that gets on there. I have a ton of respect for North Alabama, and they popped us down there, and I thought we got the best of them here. But, God, we're going to enjoy this, I tell you that. But a ton of respect for North Alabama. Hey, good for their town, their city to show up like that. What a statement about their pride. That's a prideful community. They have a lot of pride for a lot of reasons.
The best season in North Alabama men's basketball history ends on a bit of a downbeat, and the Lions now await their likely NIT bid, while Huntsville native Lenny Acuff and his Lipscomb Bisons are dancing in March Madness for just the second time since 2018. At Allen Arena in Nashville, Simon Williams, Fox 54 Sports.
The Hanceville Police Citizens Advisory Council, with all ears, tuned into the community. Their goal, potential recommendations for improvements within the police department. It comes while an investigation is underway of a missing and endangered Huntsville realtor, Ronald Dumas Jr. Fox 54's Gabe Glassman was at this week's meeting and spoke with a family representative who was there too.
The Hanceville Police Citizens Advisory Council meeting for the first time in 2025 Tuesday night, hoping to answer questions the community may have about law enforcement. Some people there looking to get answers where they feel they're more likely to be heard.
One of the reasons that we came tonight is because we aren't getting our questions asked with HPD, and so we felt like this maybe was an appropriate place to be able to voice some of those concerns.
Troy Stiles represents the family of Ronald Dumas Jr., who went missing last December and has still not been found. The last update the family heard was the one provided in early February when HPD switched his missing persons case to an abduction.
We are in despair because we don't know what's happening. We don't have any information. Our kids are still asking several questions.
90 days since Ronald Dumas Jr. went missing, his family still in search for answers.
We've stated many times we're not asking HPD to completely open the case file to us. We're just asking for any communication at all, and they're not willing to do that.
Tuesday night's discussion expanded to further questions from the community. Breakout groups formed, each one discussing their own thoughts and any questions they had about the Hanceville Police Department.
We try to gain a trust in our community. That's why each one of us in each district, we try to get out into the community with our face and speak with them.
HPCAC Chair Wiley Day says one question they receive often is, does the information they receive actually get to HPD officials?
They truly do. They take the information that we get from our community concerns or whatever, and we take it to them, and then they look at it and they see what they can do.
And HPCAC hopes to be a bridge connecting the public and HPD officials. In Huntsville, Gabe Glassman, Fox 54 News.
And the Hanceville Police Citizens Advisory Council typically meets 4 to 5 times each year. In a move aimed at preserving the character of established neighborhoods, the City of Hanceville Planning Commission has approved a request to rezone certain residential areas. It's in response to concerns from city planners and community advocates about potential redevelopment, such as the addition of apartment complexes. Fox 54's Ken McCoy has more on what this means for residents.
Hanceville is growing, and the need for more development is necessary. However, many neighborhoods in the area hold a unique value.
What planning staff has looked at it through the guidance of our big picture master plan is an assessment of communities. And through that, what we found is that different neighborhoods were zoned and they had been developed a particular way. So we want to protect the integrity of those neighborhoods by removing that action or rezoning these to a district that does not allow for multifamily.
City Planner Thomas Nunez says the decision to rezone these areas is a proactive approach of preserving the integrity of established neighborhoods for the long term, while giving homeowners a clearer idea of the big picture.
What we see in the long term or consideration is pressure from outside entities or conglomerates purchasing multiple properties and then having the ability or the right by the zoning mechanism to be able to allow for multifamily development. So our goals in that through the big picture in establishing that we want to protect these neighborhoods, and a review of that assessment has come to this particular action.
Residents and local advocates, including Councilman Bill Kling, have been vocal about their desire to see protections put in place for their communities.
I think it will protect neighborhoods, and at the same time it gives stability, because a neighborhood that historically has been single family would remain single family. With all the growth taking place, we don't need someone pulling up a lot or two and then putting in a congested multi-family unit, which creates congestion in the middle of a single-family neighborhood.
City officials say this move is part of a broader effort to balance development while maintaining Hanceville's identity. The final decision now rests with the City Council. Here in Hanceville, Kim McCoy, Fox 54 News.
Captured on camera, the sound of shots fired at an apartment complex on the north side of Research Park. Witnesses tell us they saw a young man taken from the scene by ambulance.
According to witnesses, it was a drive-by shooting, and according to that video, which you just saw. Now, Hanceville police are currently on scene, and they are calling it an assault. Witnesses did advise that a person in a dark-colored sedan began firing at a group of people as it passed by. Now, I'm going to step back into frame here. One minor is currently being treated with non-life-threatening injuries at a hospital, and Hanceville police currently is not naming any suspects as they are still searching. Now, again, these details are very new, and we are going to look to update this for you right here. But for now, live from Huntsville, Gabe Glassman, Fox 54 News.
Thank you, Gabe. And just to reiterate what he just said, Hanceville police said that they learned from witnesses that a person in a dark-colored sedan began firing at a group of people as it passed by. Again, HPD say they do not have anyone in custody, and it's still early on in the investigation. A historic downtown Huntsville building has a new purpose tonight. The law firm of Johnson, Moore & Weston cut the ribbon on its new home in the former Yarborough Hotel. The building, located on Holmes Avenue, was placed in the National Register of Historic Places back in 1980. The four-story brick structure dates to the mid-1920s when it first welcomed guests to Huntsville as one of the city's premier lodging destinations. A plaque on the remodeled building notes its importance as part of Huntsville's history.
Today, a beloved televised tradition captured the hearts and homes of many in the Tennessee Valley. United Cerebral Palsy of Northwest Alabama held its 61st annual telethon this afternoon, raising money to support local children and families affected by disabilities. From 1 to 4 p.m., touching interviews with families impacted by cerebral palsy, captivating music performances, and more were seen on Fox 54's sister channel, My 8, as donors were acknowledged on air for their contributions. This event is a big deal for the UCP Center, helping it serve the Shoals area. Last year, the telethon raised more than $105,000, and this year, they aim to top that. But did they? Let's take a listen.
But Shoals, you have really showed out today. Our grand total, $127,000.26.
And they did crush that goal. You just heard it, over $125,000 raised today. Congratulations and well-deserved. UCP Center has served the Northwest Alabama area for more than 40 years.
Congratulations on them raising awareness on such a good cause. This wraps up this edition of the Week in Review. It's going to be a stormy week across the region. Be sure to have the Fox 54 mobile app handy and count on us to break in on air and on Fox 54 Plus with breaking severe weather coverage as situations warrant. For everyone at Fox 54 News, I'm Tanisha Dees. Have a good and safe